Morning. Hope everyone's good. It's good to be back in front of some charts. Just give me 2 seconds. Just want to load up one more. And one more in response to that too. So a couple of little ones that I just want to kind of have a look at and take a look at this morning. Dollar CAD. We've been on a little drop since we fell at the bottom of this area on Wednesday morning. We had this little region around 124 that we had been floating around. So obviously we had broken through 124.50, which is what we were looking for anyway. We then sat in a little bit of consolidation between 29.30. And we were saying that we could take the position below 80, although it would be better served waiting until the 60 level had been taken out. Obviously that had come into play. We've then seen a drop back to the downside and a continuation of that. We saw some consolidation yesterday, and I was actually triggered into a position from 123.20. I'd set a buy stop just above, looking for a return back to 124, and that hasn't played out. So I will be the first to admit that I have not had the best end to this week, but it's fine because we've had a very, very good April in general. There are a few positions that I'm involved in now, looking to capitalise on some last ditch movements. So yeah, dollar CAD, as things stand at the moment, obviously we've seen such a large push to the downside that you would expect and anticipate some form of a pullback and retest at some point. Looking through, I find it highly unlikely that we're just going to power all the way through now to 120 without seeing any kind of reaction to the selling pressure that we've seen this week. If you come out to the daily time frame, you can see that we've had no real pullback for the last 5 or 6 days. Momentum hasn't even really slowed. So seeing a push all the way through into 120.50 seems highly unlikely at the moment. If anything, I think we're probably more likely to see price maybe stall around 123, 122.80, this kind of region through here. I just want to put a level through these lows through here. Just want to know where they stand. Come all the way through. Just very curious to see what major significant levels we have around at the moment. So yeah, I think realistically that we're likely to see price stall around 22.50. If we come out to the 30-minute time frame, so not a million miles away from where price has stalled already. Obviously that's stalled around 65. So coming out to the 4-hour time frame, I would expect to see some form of some form of support found around this level, and a likely push back up towards 123.50, at least, just to see some, but potentially even higher. Somewhere definitely into the lows of that 23.80 region would make a lot of sense. So we kind of have the makings of a potential position. I'm not really keen on looking for anything short at the moment until 122.50 now is taken out. Now that we've identified this potential level of, just to the left, now that we've identified the potential level of support at 122.50, previous support at this region, that it would make sense for us to now want to wait until that level is taken out before entering a position. Naturally, as I say, also after such a large move to the downside, I know that it's fundamentally driven from last weekend into this week, but you've seen a push down from 126.80 into 122.80, so 400 pips. We had a little bit of price stall, but a response and a reaction to that movement is highly likely at some point. So rejections away from this level, I would definitely be content in longing up to 123.60, 123.50, somewhere around that area. And then obviously seeing how price responds around that would be vital to us. Realistically, I think breaks above 123 would probably be enough for us to want to enter potential positions. But with that said, we should probably be mindful. The problem with it being is that the risk to reward, if we were to get involved at 123.20 again, or if I, like myself, this was thinking out loud, but if we were to get involved at 123.20 again, then it would, the risk to reward up to that 23.60 level just isn't there to want to hold that position. So it presents us with a bit of a choppy and topsy-turvy situation. So potentially above 23, that would at least give us a 30 pip stop loss for a 60 pip profit target, giving ourselves at least a 2-to-1, which is obviously much better, easier to pallet than it would be if we were looking at having a position from 123.20 and only having that potential 40 pip target as a maximum. That's just not going to sit too well from a risk to reward point of view. So we just need to wait it out. I don't see that there's anything on lower time frames that's worth grabbing our attention at the moment. So the pair definitely has the potential to pull back and retrace. We're seeing it across other dollar pairs at the moment, but we just need to be very mindful. Obviously, this morning also there has been quite a lot of fundamentals out. We've seen a lot of euro data, a lot of pound data out this morning, and there is still some to come that we do need to be a little bit mindful of. We've just had like a massive euro PMI data. Quite a lot of there's been Swiss retail sales data out as well, which was massively different than expected. That is what has driven a lot of the Swiss pairs this morning. If we were to take a look at Euro Swiss, for instance, see massive drops this morning down into 110. Also, if we were to take a look through, I'm just going to alter this chart very quickly. Pound Swiss had been consolidating this overnight for the last couple of days through this region at the 50 level. That has also just been taken out, but we'll have a look and break that chart down properly in just a moment. Regarding euro dollar, obviously we saw quite a reaction to the Fed statement on Wednesday night. Obviously always expected, we were always anticipating some form of a reaction, whether it was good or bad. The markets have been slow for days leading up to it, surrounding the dollar pairs, so we were always likely to see some form of a reaction. That this didn't disappoint. We had that, and we fired all the way up to 121.50. For anyone that had read the weekly newsletter knows that that wasn't actually a surprise. We were always anticipating some form of a retracement, whether that was into 21.20 or whether that was into 21.50. We were always anticipating that the pair would pull back into one of those zones. If we were to drop back below 121 into the realms of 120.90 again, then we would definitely have the potential to take shorts again, look to short that pair down if we do see some strength come back into the US dollar. From where we are at the moment, if we were to break back above 121.20, then that would be the opportunity for us to take longs, looking to target back to the 21.50 region. And then obviously we would see where we are likely to head from there. There are definitely multiple options and opportunities that are available to us. Just need to slow it down a little bit, be a little bit patient, and just see how we progress. This morning, like I say, there is still some data due to be released. We're not out of the woods yet with regards to that. We've got a speech from the Swiss National Bank. We also have German GDP data, which is, as always, is massively important. Germany and France and Italy being the main countries that drive the Eurozone. So we do need to be mindful of that. And there is also CAD fundamentals later this afternoon as well. So finish the day off with GDP figures. So we'll be mindful when it comes to that dollar CAD position that we were talking about. Definitely has potential, obviously, to strengthen back the CAD back up if there's some positive data there. See that further drive into 22.50. Naturally, if we drop below that, then we can look for shorts below. Euro dollar, as I say, 121 being a potential entry point. If we can break back below that, then we could see a drop, certainly. Euro Swiss, a pair that we haven't really focused too much on because, quite frankly, if you come out to the 4-hour time frame, you can see we've done nothing but been consolidating. We've just been waiting for the breaks of these areas. So we had a break, small push up to 80, not worth getting excited about. And we've had a little break this morning in the retest. So if we can break back through, get back below 110, then that will likely start to spell potential short positions from this consolidation region back down towards kind of 109, 108, 80 as a possibility. It is Friday, however, so I wouldn't go getting too excited about any potential drops. And it is also the last day of the month, so we will also expect to see some profit takes later this afternoon into the US session and the close down of the London session. So around about anywhere between 2 and 5, we're likely to see a few things start to change direction, a few big moves as liquidity is pulled out as the end of the month comes into play. People taking profits, dividends being paid, etc. So we will have to exercise a little bit of caution. We've had a good month, so there's no need to go rushing into too many things. We can afford to be a little bit patient at the moment. CAD Yen is one that I wanted to look at as well. Obviously, we spoke earlier in the week, on Monday, 86.60 being the level to be taken out. If we were to do that, then we would almost certainly see a run up to 87.20. That happened almost immediately. From there, obviously, we then consolidated on the breakout and saw a further push. We were targeting back to 189. Which, as we can see, we have come pretty close to reaching, and probably in all likelihood with a little bit of positivity out of the CAD GDP at 1:30 today, we will likely see that move completed. That does come as a little bit of a surprise. Wasn't expecting to see that hit quite so quickly, but the fact of the matter is that we've had a decent position there. 240 pips, so a very, very good position to have been involved in. Pretty much just zero drawdown from the move at 186 all the way through, so anyone that held it, then fair play to you. I want to go back to Euro Swiss because that is where we are going to get our entry from. There isn't really a trade on this CAD yen position. Pound Swiss, I do just want to break down very quickly and have a little look at. And we can see that there are some levels in here, but I'm just going to get rid of them. Go from scratch just to have a look. I want to see what the potential is for the break of this consolidation zone. Let's see what that might bring for us. So just going to run through, find some potential support and resistance levels. I don't need to go that far. I don't really need to go much lower than that. Just come out to the daily time frame. Anything that I need to be mindful of through here. Do need to just watch for this area at 22.50. So that's pretty much around where we were sat anyway. So let's just come into the 4-hour time frames, just tidy these charts up a little bit. Just gonna be mindful at this level. Going to pop. Actually gonna come through here and just place that level through there. I know that the actual support level that we had was higher up, but rather err on the side of caution when it comes to possible movements. Just going to come into the hourly time frame. Box that zone off. Just come a little bit lower into accommodate these areas. So we've seen a push down into that 40 region, which is again down here that we were the reason that I wanted to err on the side of caution and pull that down ever so slightly. So we're currently just testing that and have seen a push away back to the upside. If we were to see that, where would we likely come to? We're likely to come up to 70. So depending on how you wanted to play it and depending on how your risk kind of tolerance and preference is, above 126.80 you definitely have the potential to long it back to 27.30 and look to range trade this little area, to range trade this situation that we are in the consolidation. If we were to reject away from 70, 26.70, if we were to push that high, then you would then see that continuation of those swings come into play, and likely to see that break back below 26.40 at that point, out of that 50 region and down towards 26.40, all but confirming the potential for the short. If you come into the weekly time frame, you can see that the potential for shorts is definitely there. Daily time frame, we're just consolidating, so again breaking that region is key. Monthly, we've had almost an engulfing, but almost definitely that double bar formation. I wouldn't go as far as saying like a tweezer top, but definitely the potential to finish on a double bar, given some form of indication that we are likely to see a drop a little bit further at some point. So we shall see how we respond to current price movements, but shorts below 26.40 at the moment look highly probable. Pound New Zealand. See what else we've got going on surrounding the pound this morning, as this seems to be something that's weakening off. Support still holding at 91.80, so that's pretty obvious for us. Potentially see a drop into 91.80 at some point today. Shorts below that would definitely be the preferred option. Coming out to the monthly, again, almost seeing that double bar. Weekly, not showing us quite so much, just indecision. Daily, you can see where the indecisions come from with yesterday's push up. Today's doesn't look like it's doing much. We can see how important this 91.80 level is to get in below. So if that was to be taken out, then we would have the potential to go anything above 92.50. Then unfortunately, it's time to consider longs back to 93, 93.50, then 94. So there's definitely potential surrounding that. Below 91.80 though would be the preferred option for sure. Pound Oz just rejected away from 79.20. That will see it now fire into 79. Shorts below 79 would definitely play the best option for us there. Again, looking out, daily wasn't amazing yesterday. Weekly indecision, monthly time frame, nothing really. No real momentum behind the Pound Oz pair at the moment. But 79.20 once again acting as a very significant area and as a very significant level. So that is something that we should be extremely mindful of. Seeing how we kind of move through and progress. I definitely feel like there is potential below 79. If we can get below 79 and the support that we've got there, then that will probably drop pretty hard into this morning. But realistically, it's just a bit of indecision. What we're saying with pound CAD, obviously we were looking at the potential away from 73.30 on Monday morning. Naturally, we have seen quite a large drop down, currently at 250 pips, if anybody was able to take that. Although multiple opportunities to re-enter. I can see the pound strengthening up a little bit this morning, judging by the way that some current charts are looking. Again, such a huge drop from last week, and the Canadian dollar potentially strengthened up, that at some point you would expect to see price stall a little bit. I'm not convinced that there's anything that I'd really like the look of though for potential entries. It looks like we've exhausted all options this week coming into this pair. I don't think there's really anything now that makes much sense below 170.50. You can obviously take the 100 pips down from there. Get rid of these. I'm not interested in these levels at the moment. I'm not really interested in that either. I'm really interested in just that break back up. Pop below 70.50, you do have a potential to short it into 70 and then 69.50. Or the rejection away would give you that drive back to 71.80. But that's about as far as we go there. I think I'd imagine that pound dollar weakened off this morning. We've seen some dollar strength come back in. We've broken back below previous support, so we'd be looking for that potential to drive back into 138. We need to get below 139. That's the key area for us down here. At the moment, though, I would anticipate a push into 39 and then maybe rejection away. So something to just be mindful of, I think, at the moment. I would be pretty cautious of potential positions surrounding that. But the dollar looks to be strengthening up a little bit. Euro USD trading around 121 at the moment, so we'll see if we can get below that. Euro Swiss still flitting around that 10 level. We'll see how the pair responds at 139, and then obviously we'll make a decision from there. Also want to keep an eye on Pound Oz and Pound New Zealand, although I'm not convinced we're going to get entries on either of those anytime soon as things stand. Euro USD 77 Aussie USD even 77.50 key level has been for weeks now. Anything before that is completely irrelevant to us. 77.50 down to 77 whole number. Obviously we were looking for potential longs earlier in the week above 77. We saw that and fired up to 78.20, 77.70 even. We fired up to 78.20. Well done to anyone that took that. Always managed to profit off of it. Then obviously we saw a drive back down, and we had then again another drive back up off the back of the FOMAC and Fed statements, but still failing to get above that 78.20 region at the moment. The downside certainly looks to be more preferable, below 77.50 for sure. Although I don't rule out the fact that we're just going to get caught range bound for the rest of the week in that pair at the moment. Let's take a little look at gold. Haven't really paid much attention to it, in all honesty. This week was definitely looking for the potential for it to push back down into 1740. Then obviously we saw the FOMAC meeting on Wednesday, drive price back to the upside. Still very much, I would actually be pretty tempted to short below 64. I actually am pretty tempted to potentially short it below 64. If we can get below them, we've made these new swings on the lower time frames. 4 hour looks pretty good for it, to be fair. If we can break the lows, you can see where we've acted as support quite a lot through this region. So I would actually be pretty happy to short gold today if we got below 117.64. That's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. Euro Oz. Euro, it's not that the euro is particularly strong. The Aussie dollar doesn't seem to be very strong at all today. I'm not interested. Dollar Swiss does interest me, however. Don't need this, but Dollar Swiss, we've established a little bit of support around this 90-80 region that we can see through here. If we break through that, obviously we can expect to see the Swiss franc strengthen up and continue that drop into 94.50. Then we see where price goes from there. However, where we've acted as support at the moment, if we were to break back above this little 30-minute period of consolidation, somewhere anywhere around 191.20, then I would very much expect to see price trading around 192 again within the near future. Could potentially be the start of that dollar strengthening up, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. The dollar keeps lulling us in at the moment, giving us this false sense of security that we might be preparing to see it potentially strengthen up and a little push, and then it just rips that floor out from underneath us. So we do just need to be a little bit mindful around the pair, see how things progress. Not get too excited by it as things stand at the moment. I don't care about this, it's pointless. So yeah, we just play it out, see how we progress, see how things move, and at the moment that's about all we can do. Just going to see how we're faring around this pound Swiss pair at the moment. Obviously, it would be nice to see that break back below that 40 level. That would give us some indication that we are expecting to see some drop this morning. So yeah, I hope everyone has a decent day, whatever you're up to. Be very mindful around lunchtime and surrounding that CAD data. Like I say, there is a Swiss National Bank statement at the moment, and I believe German GDP should have just come out. So let's just have a quick check on that. German GDP was not good. Worse than expected. So for the quarter, which obviously we weren't expecting very good, but minus 1.7 instead of 1.5. So we can expect to see the euro weaken off a little bit and continue a little drop this morning. So we'll see what today brings. There's a few things that might give us that late little push in the month and for the week. So we won't get too excited, but there are things to keep an eye on for sure. Hope everyone has a decent day. Hope everyone has a good weekend.